Welcome back to Avon Rescue. Today's episode is all about the little steps, those small but essential tasks that bring us closer to completing this incredible project. From tackling the cooling system to fitting the cycle wings, headlamps and tail lights, every bit of progress adds up. Chris Hollier will also walk us through wrapping the exhaust, finishing the pedal box enclosure, and plenty more as we chip away at the to-do list. It's proof that sometimes it's the little steps that lead to big results. So stick around and let's dive into today's progress on the Avon.
Hello again everyone, welcome back to Avon Rescue on 7 Spot, and we're going to give you an update on what we've done on the little Tiger Avon over the last couple of weeks. I was hoping to be just a little bit further ahead than this, but I've done an awful lot of little bits and pieces. So what we're going to do is show you around what we've done this week, all the little bits and pieces. As you can see, we've got a lot more decorative bits on. The engine has been run. If you saw the last one, you'll realise we were there. But the wiring's taken a little bit longer than I was imagining. So things are coming along and we're still on schedule time-wise. So we'll show you now in detail how far we've got. So let's have a look at plumbing first of all. As you can see now, we've got the bottom hose in with one single joiner on it, all in silicone hoses. We've got the top hose in with our filler point, which is the highest point of the system. So if we get any air entrapment, it should come up to here, as well as the header tank, which I'll show you in a minute, with our little overflow. This little panel we've got fitted in here has got the radiator fan control switch on top of it, and it's got the radiator fan relay underneath it. They're not wired in yet, but that's next on the list to do. And if we look on the front of the radiator, you can see we've got the fan properly mounted now as well. So the cooling system is now all hooked up, ready to go. It's been full of water for about 3 or 4 days now. No sign of any drips. So the last bit to do with this is when the engine's fired up, get some pressure in it and see if it's still dry then. You can also see now we've got the front wings on and the headlights on. Now I went to Tiger and bought their pre-made wing stays, but unfortunately they didn't fit. I've got Cortina hubs and Cortina brakes as far as I'm aware, and these are supposed to be for Cortina, but these 2 bolts at the back here didn't come even close. They were up here on the mounting bracket. So I've had to cut the stay, add a piece on the back, and then drill and tap the hub just here to take this forward mounting bolt. So there's a lot of messing about, but now we've got nice firm wing, and I've actually glued them on with a polyurethane adhesive onto the stays so we don't get bolts poking out the top. How successful that'll be, we'll find out in time. Now on the headlights, they're a 3-in-1 unit. We've got a dip and main beam headlight bulb in the middle. We've got side light LEDs at the bottom and indicator LEDs at the top. Now these aren't E-marked, so they're not IVA compliant, but they were a very reasonable price. And for what we need to do to signal to other people on a racetrack what's going on, they're more than adequate. And because they fit the same mount as a standard 7.5-inch headlamp, if we do later go for an IVA, we can take these off and replace them with a standard lamp unit. Right, you can see now we've also got the exhaust manifolds wrapped in this bronze colour asbestos wrap. There's a little heat shield that used to have gold heat reflective foil on it, but because it was held on with a self-adhesive backing, it kept peeling off when we were running the engine up. So I've taken that off and I've now given it an ordinary heat resistant black coating. You can see down here we've wrapped to this point, and then we've now got the retaining springs on the exhaust to hold the collector onto the main part of the system. These stop it just rattling and they keep everything in place, same as they fit on superbikes. Now what I was saying about the heat shield up here, I've done the same here because that was again that gold super heat reflective plate, but just on this top edge where the exhaust is very close, it kept coming unstuck. So rather than it looking tatty, I've taken it off and I've actually powder coated this one in black, so that should take the heat quite nicely. Right, one of the big deals that's taken a long time, I've made the pedal box cover now with a removable lid, so we can get in to access everything we need to. Clutch cable, throttle cable, brake adjustable push rod, brake light switch, all nice and easy to get to, and it's all held down with just little dome-headed bolts. So everything is accessible when we need it. The last little detail will be a tiny little strip of foam rubber around here, self-adhesive rubber strip, just to make sure it doesn't rattle and it doesn't leak if it gets wet at all. So this is one of the things that slowed me down a little bit. Again, it was just fitted in my little domestic oven, so I managed to powder coat it, so it should be fairly scratch resistant. Right, and on the bulkhead here, you can see we've now got the header tank mounted on a nice firm strap. But if we do get air entrapment problems and we need to give it an extra little bit of head to get some gravity to get the air out, it's on 4 little screws, so I can undo the clamp, lift the header tank up, which will help bleed the system out. Hoping I won't need to. So that's in. Put some carbon fibre wrap on this aluminium cover panel here on top of the bulkhead, just to tidy it up. And also with these plastic films, you can put tools on them. It don't really leave any marks. If it was bare aluminium, every time you put anything on there, it's going to scratch it or make it dirty, and you can't wipe it clean without it looking worse. So that's double fold. It makes it look better, makes it more practical. And you can see just up here, we've got the fuse box and the relays, which come through from the loom on the inside. So nice and easy to get to, no digging up underneath the dashboard to get to the fuse board. It's right in front of you here. Right, and I showed you we had the alternator on last time, but we couldn't see it very clearly. Hopefully from this angle you can now see we've moved the adjuster bracket, which would normally be off one of the water pump bolts, up onto a separate bracket bolted on the side of the head here. It's now actually hooked up, and we've got the right length fan belt on it. So everything now charges system-wise. This little red cap is pushed on there because that's obviously a main permanently live terminal. And if you drop a spanner down in here and that's not covered, sparks everywhere. Right, so visually, on any car, the wheels are a big deal. If you remember from one of the earlier episodes, these wheels used to be silver with a red artificial securing nut in the middle. They were not horrible, but they certainly didn't suit the car. So what I've done is I've actually painted them in satin finish black and then powder coated the retaining nuts in yellow to get as close as I can to the bodywork. Completely changes the look of the car. I think fits it much better because we've now got the black and yellow theme continuing all the way through without any interruption. It's details that make the difference on this kind of stuff. And if you left that little red cap on there, it would stand out like a sore thumb. So this way round, everything is colour coded. And these little hooks here are merely a retaining system for that nut, because there's no other means of locking it on, and it just stops them coming unwound. It's the sort of thing you see on a lot of competition cars anyway, if they are actually using proper centre lock wheels. So I'm very pleased with those, and hopefully you'll like them as well. If you don't, then give me a shout, let me know. If you think they should have been silver with red nuts, yeah, okay, you're allowed an opinion. Let me know what it is. Right, now to the back end of the car. It's beginning to look a bit more like a finished car, at last. So what we've used is some fairly generic LED, 3-function indicator, stop tail reflector units, mounted on the standard Tiger bases, which were yellow fiberglass, but I thought they looked a bit better in satin black, just to add a little bit more feature. Mounted a rear fog light up here rather than hanging down underneath, because I'm a little bit wary of stuff that hangs underneath the body line. It gets very vulnerable. And its primary use on here is not going to be as a rear fog light, it's going to be as a rain light, in case you get a wet track somewhere. So a little bit higher, keeps it out of the spray line, keeps it a bit easier to see. And then for number plate mounting, I've made up an aluminium bead rolled backing plate with a number plate light mounted on it, just to add a little bit of feature, bring a little bit of the black back into the car, and then a standard yellow rear number plate on the front of it. Not complicated, but I wanted it looking simple and clean. Right, now if we now look at the fuel filler and the boot tray, majority of Tiger owners put the fuel filler out through the rear end of the bodywork here. I wasn't that keen, so I've made up my own little housing here, and it has a flip style, removable, straightforward top fill. So this is a straight dump straight into the tank with no curve in it, which means it will fill quicker and easier without flushing back. And very often with the tight bend that you need to come in through the back panel here, they are a bit of a bugger to fill and they can actually clog up on you. So let's put that in a different place. A little bit of powder coating again. See, nice little satin black finish. And then inside the boot tray here, I've put some of the same black short flock van lining carpet that I used on the interior. So if I leave any tools or any parts in here, they won't rattle around. Ultimately, this will have a lid. I don't know what yet, but it's quite low down the priority list. So for now, it can stay open. Okay, so that's our little roundup of what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. Still a bit to do, but it's coming along really nicely. I'm very pleased with the progress. The details of the wiring, they always take a long time. And hopefully we can show you a few more of the inside bits on that when we do a bit more on the dash wiring. But I'll leave that for next time. And I promise I'll try harder to get it running for next time so I can drive it up the road. I won't keep you waiting any longer. We're now almost at the end of November 2024. So we're still on track. Timing's coming along nicely. Another couple of weeks, we should be driving up the road, and we're still on for our finish to get it done for the new year if everything goes okay. So hopefully that gives you an idea where we are, and I'll see you again next time. Have a good time.
And there you have it, another episode of Avon Rescue in the books. Today's little steps have brought us one big leap closer to the finish line. From the cooling system to the pedal box enclosure and everything in between, Chris Hollier has made sure every detail is just right. Bit by bit, this project is transforming into a track-ready machine, and we can't wait to see it all come together. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What's been your favourite part of the build so far? Until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and we'll see you on the next Avon Rescue.